Welcome to Tiny Chair Talks. What is Tiny Chair Talks? Tiny Chair Talks are open conversations in tiny chairs. Conversations and discussions and topics that normally people don't want to talk about. But guess what? We do. During season 2, my co-host Courtney and I will be talking about various different things from our personal perspectives in society, spirituality, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Totally unscripted, honest, and transparent. Things that you, the viewers, have also said that you guys want to hear. We welcome your input. So without further ado, let's get comfortable.
Gender roles.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so we came up with this topic today. What did we get ourselves into here?
I don't know, but this is going to be a touchy one.
Definitely. And so before we get started, don't forget to comment below or any other social media. We want your feedback. We want your questions, your comments, so that we can put more questions in this jar.
Absolutely.
And we can have more discussion. That's what it's all about. Discussion,
That's what it's all about.
talking
Trying
about
to serve
these
the people,
topics.
whatever guys you want to talk about, we got you.
So,
But today,
gender roles. So kind of in our culture, right, there's this understanding kind of male-female roles in the home or workplace and all of this. And so I think it's really interesting. You have a personal experience and story relating to that. Will you share that with us now
Sure.
kind of get going?
Absolutely. So my family's Jamaican, so I grew up in a culture where the dad was the breadwinner and the provider of the home and always working. And my mom didn't necessarily was the stereotypical stay in the kitchen type individual. She worked too, she was as a nurse, but it was understood, my dad very much, showed that a man is a man and he's gonna work and he's gonna be really, kind of brawny and strong and protective and so on and so forth. I was a curious kid and I grew up around my sisters, 3 of them as a matter of fact. So I was kind of always around the more nurturing type of atmosphere with my sisters and so on and so forth. So long story short, at around 10 was my earliest memory that I remember going into the kitchen and watching my mom as she was cooking. And I was fascinated.
Right, yeah.
So I started, watching her and going into the kitchen a lot more. Of course, I still did the basketball and all the other things.
Yeah.
But I picked up on it. My sisters being around girls, and all kind of, things like that. So moving fast forward, I continued wanting to know, and hanging around women and my aunts and everything. So I learned how to braid. I learned how to crochet. I could do hair. I cook. I clean. And even now that I'm married and I have 2 girls, it helped me out tremendously because, with
you know
girls,
what's going on.
I know what's going on, and I know the struggle and taking a lot of that load and burden off my wife. So now, as my kids, they're now 11 and 15, but when they were younger, I did their hair. When something had a hole in it, I would sew it.
Yeah.
I cook, I clean, and, it's just one of those things where typically you wouldn't really hear a man say that they did those things.
Right.
And even when I did say that I did that, they were just like, oh, you probably did a horrible job. But no, I was tight. I have some skills. I can get hair up after the show. I could put some braids in your joint.
Yeah,
hook
all
you
right,
up.
we'll see.
But yeah, just to go to show that, we don't have to stay specific in that mindset or in that role that society has put on us. You'll find a lot of other men like myself that do things and still very manly in how we present ourselves and the things that we do.
Yeah, so you can still hold on to a masculine role, but just doing things as a team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a similar experience with my husband, and he cooks. He went to culinary school, and he helps do the dishes, and we kind of tag team, do what needs to be done. And
as I understand it, you 2 growing up, you were a tomboy, so you
yeah,
had
I
a
was
little
totally
different, right?
tomboy, and now as an adult, I'm super more floral and stuff. But I think it's good to embrace natural kind of, women can be more nurturing and men can be, more tough. But because you might have natural inclinations to things, that doesn't mean you can't step out of that role, like women in the kitchen, men at work. You know, you can still embrace like
who you are and what it is that you do and what you like to do, right?
Exactly. I do like the idea of a mother being a nurturer and raising the kids, and I think that's just kind of an innate thing for women. And I think what's important is that men and women can have specific kind of natural inborn traits, femininity versus masculinity, but there's definitely room for sharing the load, or there's men that are real nurturers. My husband is really nurturing to our children.
Right.
And, and sometimes I'm really assertive with our children. So, and then, I think you can have a little bit of both. The more traditional
balance,
side and balance.
That's it.
Right? We were talking about balance.
Yeah.
So what are some of the downsides? Can you think of any downsides of that kind of shared load kind of technique, the tag team both working? Can you think of any downsides to that?
Downside to teamwork.
It doesn't sound, that's very counterintuitive, isn't it?
I wouldn't say it would be a downside to it, but what I would say is maybe if like my wife specifically, if she loves vacuuming, and she does, and vacuuming is like her thing.
Yeah.
And if I came home and I decided to help her out and vacuum, and I did the vacuum for her, that might have been her coping skill. That might have been something that she was looking forward to doing.
Right.
And I just went ahead and, in my efforts of trying to help out, I took the one chore that she actually likes. And then all the other things we have to do by virtue of having kids and cleaning home or what have you. So that possibly, I can see that as being an issue.
Right. Well, that makes me think of, I know there's been times, and this is definitely a flaw, but there have been times where my husband will do something and he's trying to help, and I take it as, did you not think I could do that?
Yeah, right.
Terrible, but that kind of shows like we have these things ingrained into us, and so even when we're in maybe non-traditional settings where both parents are working and doing things, it's tricky.
It's tricky, right?
It's
so
tricky.
My wife is an amazing cook, but she doesn't love to cook.
Okay, yeah.
She does it because she knows she has to, and she doesn't mind. I don't mind cooking. I just don't have as much time to be home to be in the kitchen cooking, but I don't mind cooking. Like, I like to cook. But whenever I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking, she's always in the kitchen and she's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute now. You want to take over?
Hard.
It's just one of those things,
right?
It's hard
to let go of certain
it's hard
things,
to let go
isn't
of
it? Even
things.
when, and I think too, it's definitely, one downside to it is that then you have to navigate that. You have to navigate what you've been raised thinking or taught. You were raised in a really traditional home. You have to kind of let some of these things go. And I think what's difficult about it is being able to communicate and talk about what are your favorite things? And is it really balanced? And I think an advantage of traditional roles is they're very clear cut. I will be doing this and you will be doing that. And so, but that doesn't fit.
That doesn't fit.
And I think a majority of the time now, most people are working. We kind of have been touching on families and marital relationships. How do you feel that this translates into maybe younger people, single people, high schoolers?
For me, and I'm gonna talk about my experience, and you might be able to share if you want. I know that for me, I kind of was teased a little bit, not because I had feminine type of qualities or traits or walk or my voice was high or anything, but because when they found out, that I did these things, and as a kid, of course I was embarrassed, and of course I tried to, play it off, and I didn't embrace it. When I got older in college, it kind of pushed me in a situation where the majority of my friends were females.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So I hung with guys. I played ball. I played all sports.
Right.
But when it came down to having conversation and going to the mall, and I did different things, now transformed, moving forward a couple of years now that I have two girls, it was amazing that I could help my wife out.
Right.
So now she doesn't have to fall into the expectation of always doing the hair, always cooking, always cleaning. And what's odd, not necessarily odd, but what's unique about the whole situation of roles and expectations are, back in the days is when I can remember growing up, women did the clothes and the sewing for most part.
Right.
And women did the hair for the most part. But now the number one hair designer is a man. The number one chef or cook is a man.
Right.
The number one designer is a man. So it's just like, where are we now?
It's changing,
It's
yeah.
just changing, right?
And there's so many more women physicians, and you know, I mean, there's lots of different industries where the genders maybe used to dominate, and now it's like flip-flopped a little bit. And what do you guys think? Let us know. Comment below in the comment section. Reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram. Visit the website, theprojectrefresh.com or .org, and we really want to get your feedback. So if this is a video you want us to continue, let us know. If you have another topic or question, please reach out to us. Let us know. We want to be doing videos for you that are relevant and that you can benefit from.
Absolutely. Keep the conversation going, guys. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time. Peace.